Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. Hello there, I'm Kira and I'm 20. I had some serious issues with my stepmom which made me take some decisions without thinking it through. But I'm hoping to get some sincere judgments from you all. It all started when I lost my beloved mom in a very terrible accident. Being an only child made my parents give me all the affection and love I deserved. They were so caring and loving to the extent that they gave me all I needed, but scolded me in love when I went wrong, making sure I grew up with the right legacies and attributes as a young woman. But the death of my mom took all the happiness we shared away. My dad was even more grieved than I was. He sometimes stays in his room all day without coming out to have his meals. Being a 14-year-old girl by then, I couldn't stand the death of my beloved mom, but couldn't stand seeing my dad in so much grief either. So I decided to be strong for my dad. I prepared his meals using mom's recipe and made sure he ate on time. We also did some of the things we used to do together while mom was alive, which made us miss her even more. 2 years after mom's death, the shock of mom's death was gradually becoming a thing of the past for dad. He doesn't grieve as much as he did in the past. I couldn't get over my mom's death, but surprisingly my dad did. He told me I should get prepared to accept another woman as my mom. I was so sad because I would have to replace my mom with a strange woman who I didn't even know. But I reluctantly agreed after dad's persistent persuasions. So dad got engaged to his newfound lover and she moved in with us. It wasn't easy adapting to her. Anytime I tried to get close to her, memories of my mom kept flashing through my mind, which made me feel more sad each passing day. But guess what? My stepmom wasn't as bad as I thought. Surprisingly, she was so caring and made me feel very comfortable. She tried to fill the vacancy my mom left behind. I started growing some affection and motherly love for her. My dad became so happy that I was finally getting along with his wife. We did everything a family does, and we were so happy until the unexpected happened. 2 years after dad got married to my stepmom, she couldn't bear any child of her own. She became worried as to what could be the reason for her faith. This made her become very obsessed with me. But dad kept telling her to wait for the right time, and that kept her moving on. But it didn't last long. My dad had a very serious headache, which later took him to the grave. Oh, what a world. My dad's death was so sudden that he couldn't even have time to say goodbye. His death was a tragic one and we never saw it coming. Stepmom was so sad because she didn't have any children with dad before he passed away. A few months after the burial of my dad, my stepmom turned into something else that I've never seen before. She became so obsessed with me that she controlled everything I did, and even my movements. She always wanted me close to her every day, and doesn't even want me to have any space for myself. At first, I thought she was caring, but I later realized she was just obsessed with me for her selfish gains. Can you imagine she asked me to choose a high school closer to our house, so I can go to school from home? Yes, she did that to me. So I had to do away with my favorite high school to attend a school closer to our house. I couldn't even spend time with my friends anymore. They all left for their dream schools while I had to stay with my stepmom. But I decided to jeopardize my happiness for her to be happy. At least that was the greatest favor I could afford to do for her. As if that was not enough, she warned me never to go out without her permission. She claims all my friends are bad company, so I should stay away from them. She checks my phone and even seizes it when she wants to. The love and affection I thought I had has turned into excess control and obsession that I've never seen before. Now here's what happened recently. I finished high school last year and I decided to get a job and earn something for myself. I told my stepmom about my intentions, but unfortunately she didn't seem happy about my idea. She told me we have everything we need to have a good life and that there is no need to work to get money. She wants me to stay at home all day without going out. I got fed up with her behavior and told her I was no longer a child for crying out loud. Besides, I need to plan my future and embrace adulthood. a wish my late parents will not hesitate to grant me. But stepmom understood me the wrong way, and she told me I was an ungrateful child for not appreciating the fact that she was protecting me from bad people out there. Surprisingly, the next day, my stepmom told me I could go ahead and apply for the job and that she was sorry for the previous day. The manager of the company happens to be my classmate Susan's mom, so I was so sure I would secure the job. But the unfortunate thing happened because, after my interview, I received no alert to resume work. I was so sad because I thought I possessed the qualities to fit the job descriptions, but I kept on applying for other job postings. 2 weeks later, my friend Susan called me and told me she overheard her mom talking to someone, telling her I possessed all the qualities to earn the job, so she should allow me to resume work. Susan even said her mom told her my stepmom warned her not to approve me for the job. Like, wow. I immediately approached her so she could tell me the truth for herself, and to my shock, it was true. She came up with the silly excuse again that she did it to protect me. Like, what sort of obsession is this? I told her to hell with the silly protection, and that she should let me be. I've been so respectful and calm since my dad passed away, always tolerating her to the extent of even sacrificing my dream high school, all because of her selfish gains. And now blackmail? I had enough of my stepmom, and I'm not going to tolerate her any longer. So I packed out and told her not to even dare come looking for me. Besides, she was not even sorry for what she did. All she kept saying was she was just trying to protect me, and that I'd just been ungrateful for not seeing it. So am I in the wrong for cutting ties with my stepmom after she ruined my opportunities, all in the name of protecting me from bad company? Or should I just continue being pampered and refuse to grow up? What then happens to me when she is no more? Update. Well, here's a little update. So stepmom kept calling my phone telling me she was feeling lonely in the house and that I should come back home. But I told her I'm not coming back to that house until she gets the full meaning and difference between deadly obsession and protection. I'm currently at Susan's and I'm so comfortable and happy. Once again, thank you all. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your stepmom has to understand the difference between being protective and being obsessively protective. I'm sorry about the loss of your parents. I can't start to imagine how hard everything must have been for you. And yet you still considered how your stepmom was grieving regardless of your feelings. You're a good stepdaughter. I hope your stepmom soon realizes where she went wrong so she can make amends and you two can be together again. But for now, continue staying at Susan's. Good luck with your job. Story 2. I, 29 female, and my boyfriend, 31 male, have been together for 5 years, living together for 3 years. I am an introvert by nature, but due to my profession I became quite outgoing, even though I still need some time to recharge after social encounters. My boyfriend is also an introvert. Last year, our friends started to get married. We had a total of 7 weddings last summer, 6 on my side, where I was the maid of honor on 2 of them, and 1 on his side. He was very uncomfortable at my friends' weddings. Once he didn't know that many people, I tried my best to contradict this by introducing him to new people and finding common topics of interest. He has had this "I don't dance" policy since I met him. And in most of these weddings, I tend not to go dancing because he stays all by himself, quite mellow and just existing. Note, I love to dance. Due to these factors, I faked having a tummy ache or migraines at some of my friends' weddings. In order for us to go home early and for him to be more comfortable, I did this because it sucked to not see him happy, not because he asked me to. Then we had this other wedding that was from a friend of his that I didn't know in person. I went, we enjoyed our time together until late in the night and he danced, the guy that never dances. A month after, we had the last wedding of that year, where I was a maid of honor and therefore had some duties. Well, during the reception, while I had to do something for the bride, I went away for 5 minutes and left him with a mutual friend. I came back and he was gone, nowhere to be found. Where was he? Talking on the phone to his friends, where he stood for the next 2 hours. I tried not to think much of it, but the fact that he just left was always on the back of my head. He came back for dinner and right after he decided to leave. This time, I decided to stay, to enjoy myself and dance until 6 a.m. Please note that he didn't even say goodbye to the bride or the groom since they were tipsy. When they came to ask about him, I told them that he went to say goodbye. He never asked me to lie for him or to fake feeling unwell for him. I did all of this because I was ashamed. The day after, we talked, and I told him it was a lack of respect on his part to do what he did, and that if we are together, we should also be able to be together in social setting. He told me that I should not expect him to go, even though I go to his friends' weddings, and enjoy myself, even if I don't know anyone, and that from now on he has decided that he will not accompany me to any more weddings due to his self-diagnosed social anxiety. This is something that has been killing me slowly for the last few months. And please bear in mind that he knew all my friends that were getting married. Am I expecting him to come with me? 7 weddings are a lot, OP. However, your boyfriend was impolite and disrespectful to you by leaving the party alone when you two came together. He came together with you, then he should have pushed through the entire wedding like you would have for him. But then again, you would have felt more comfortable doing that than he does. He's not comfortable with weddings, so I suggest you stop expecting him to follow you to everyone you have. I think you can both find a compromise. Now for some comments. You're supposed to be a duo, a team. However, 7 weddings in a year is a lot, and it's hard not to deny that effect on even the most extroverted people. It's also unclear if he was sulking or unhappy at these weddings, or just existing as you describe it. As far as I can tell, he only left one wedding early. You decided to bail with him at the other ones with the fake migraines. I'm going with no a-holes here. No a-holes here. Sure, you guys are a team and to a certain extent, it is reasonable for you to want your boyfriend to suck it up and attend some weddings with you. However, 7 in one summer is a lot. Even if he were not an introvert by nature, and even if he did know more people at those weddings, it seems like a pretty big ask to expect someone to attend 7 weddings in the space of a couple months. You, however, are totally justified in wanting to go to the weddings of the people you are close with. The answer here is for you to just go by yourself if there are more than, say, a couple weddings per year. It's a bit of a tough one. I'm also an introvert and really dislike going to weddings where I don't know anyone, and 7 is a lot. But my ex also ruined a lot of important events for me, picking a fight and making us leave, until I just started agreeing to leave to avoid it. I really regret that I allowed that. I was miserable and left my own sister's wedding because of them. If a compromise can be found where he only joins you at the ones that really matter a lot to you, and he gets to opt out of some others, then that seems fair. But sometimes we just have to show up for our partners. And if you won't do that for the important ones, that's a red flag. Story 3. We hired a babysitter we've had a few times at a good rate of $20 per hour, since it was only for 3 hours in our home. The babysitter is a 19-year-old woman, if that matters. I think maybe the age will affect something. My wife had to rush to work in an emergency and I was already at work. The babysitter is already familiar with some of our rules. Like our 3-year-old is only allowed in the living room, playroom and dining room when eating. The babysitter, I guess, had an emergency herself and had to be on the phone for 20 minutes. For some reason, she decided to take the call outside. Her rationale was that it was private and didn't want our child to listen in. In those 20 minutes, our daughter was able to move the couch to the living room gate, scale the gate, head into the basement and pull one of my guitars off the wall. The neck is all warped and my luthier said the neck needs to be replaced. I'm asking the babysitter to front the bill on a new guitar, not a repair or neck replacement, as the alternatives diminish the value of the guitar. Mismatching neck to body severely impacts value and a neck repair does too. It's $2,200. Am I the a-hole here or is she? Her parents are telling us we're responsible. She's offering only to have babysat for free. Our friends are saying we're too harsh, but it was her responsibility, right? Now for some comments. Your stuff, your kid, your problem. You should have insurance for the guitar. If it's so valuable, you should have had it somewhere your kid can't get to. It wasn't great that you took the phone call outside, but there's always a moment when you blink or go to the bathroom and kids get into shit, and you should know that. This is on you for not taking better precautions and not warning her that your kid is a powerlifter who does parkour. You're the a-hole. I think this situation is the reason for you to stop hiring her as your babysitter. But asking a 19-year-old to pay you $2,200 for something that was ultimately destroyed by your child is too much. She failed in her duty to supervise your child, so you're justified in not hiring her again. But other than that, how can you possibly expect her to pay you all that? It's just unreasonable, as is the fact that you're not asking her to repair your guitar. You're asking her for a new guitar. Come on, dude, you're the a-hole. Fire the babysitter, but a toddler didn't warp that guitar. A toddler could have broken it, snapped it in two, and stomped it to pieces, but they couldn't have warped it in 20 minutes. That guitar was stored improperly long enough for it to warp. Wrong temperature, humidity, and/or positioning most likely. It's possible you didn't notice the damage until the toddler pulled it down. Assuming the rest of the story is true, but that's no one's fault but your own. However, since you obviously don't know how to properly store valuable instruments, it's possible you don't know that you're the cause of the damage and honestly believe your own story.